Hi friends, so welcome once again. Like I said, this video was supposed to be up last week, but some reasons I don't know why it wasn't working. I have to just try and do it all over again. Hopefully this one should work and you should be able to get the audio, the video working perfectly. All right. So we're looking at project management for the last two remaining parts of the term. Okay. So at this first point, I'm splitting the project management concept, the concept of project management, into three different parts. So we'll take that concept one, then we'll zoom on into the techniques and tools that are used in project management. Every aspect of our lives includes some form of project. Okay, like I was saying, sometimes you forsake a good deal of an opportunity to embark on a new project. Even undertaking your own master's program alone is a project on its own. Undertaking a PhD project is a assignment or a task. Course studies is a project on its own. Trying to plan to build a house is a project on its own. But we are looking at project in the context of profit-oriented companies, companies who are business minded, who are looking at making some returns on whatever investments they make. Okay, so project management in the context of business profit making. Okay, of course, the same concepts could be applied even in non-profit making ventures. So it cuts across. It shouldn't be so strange when you find yourself in a not-for-profit organization and you're asked to undertake a project or to analyze a business project. You could easily apply these same concepts and it will work perfectly. All right. So at this point, let's take the first bit quite straightforward. Okay, and then we should be fine. Okay, so I'll introduce something different around this time, and it's about trying to get our learning objectives, okay, from the study. Okay, so again, this is just a summarized version of the core text E2 that we are using, the current edition. If you're using the previous edition, nothing too strange, nothing too different, okay. So I'll highlight where there is any difference, you could look at them. So concept of project management, we're dealing with part one. So as you can see, we have managed to navigate through all the topics and we are now on the concept of project management. So um, project management concept, project management tools and techniques, and leadership concept. That is what we're doing now. So at least for the next 2, 3 weeks, we'll finish with this and then we'll revise for the exams. Okay. All right. So we're looking at the end of this session, we should be able to understand how the overall project objectives are measured, they are assessed in terms of time, cost, and quality, and then also try to understand the reasons and associated activities with each key stage of a project life cycle. All right. Any questions you see, you should be able to answer them given these technical concepts we know. All right. Okay. So what is a project? Overall, what is a project? It is always something unique. We all try to undertake this unique activity with a specific objectives in mind. Okay. Now, project will always have a starting time and then a closing phase. This is what we're looking at. A project must always have resources that we need, we can leverage on. Is it staff? Is it material resources? Is it sometimes intangible resources? And funding which we could allocate specifically for the lifespan of the project. Project will also have people who are interested in the project, those who could be influenced, and those who can influence the project. So they could be influenced by the project, and the project final outcome could also influence them. They are interested in every stage, every progress of the project till the closing stage. Okay. Now, project will surely have some degree of uncertainty. It's a future thing that you are doing, you are undertaking. Who knows? People who have started projects, who knows? Or whoever thought that in the lifespan of their project, COVID could strike and the workers cannot go to site to work. Projects could stall. Nobody goes to the office to work. Okay, so there's always some level of uncertainty, some degree of risk in terms of the deliverables. Whether we can achieve it or not depends on what the risk of the degree of risk and uncertainty deals with. Now, once we complete a project, we should be able to integrate it into the normal day-to-day activities of the business. So if it's an annex of a building you are putting up, At the end of the day, you should be able to get staff there, get some resources there, who will work and integrate into the main business which was running before this new project came into existence. So projects will not be, they could be autonomous, yes, but at the end of the day, they fit into some framework. They fit into some operational framework. Okay. Now, project has some constraints. Of course, once there are some uncertainties, there could be some associated constraints. Okay, anything that limits them from carrying out the activities, anything that limits the full attainment of the objectives is a constraint. Okay, so it could cut across three items in terms of the time we use to complete, the cost involved in this project, and the quality. Okay, so this word normally is termed as a project triangle, and they are conflicting. Okay, normally you look at the time. If I'm going to take more time to finish this project, what about the cost involved? You are not likely to have a short-term cost. Okay, that if it's a long-term time frame, then you know the cost associated could also be high. Okay, and then the quality. Sometimes we want to finish this in time, quickly, and wash our hands off. You could compromise the quality. So these three items conflict. Okay, we may have set up a fixed budget that we're spending 2 million on this construction project, but if it extends beyond 2 years, you know that for sure this project will require extra cash investment. Okay, the same way if I want to shorten the time frame, I could compromise on quality. Okay, so there is always a give and take, an opportunity cost along these lines. And sometimes, if you want to achieve a very excellent outcome, then it means you must always make adjustments to these constraints in terms of time and cost, especially. That's why you see organizations, some organizations, or any reasonable organization having a periodic review of the budgets which have been allocated to a project, because they want to be reasonable, realistic, and see whether the the main constituents within the project execution have changed or still remain the same. Okay. So in addition to these three main constraints, there are also many other factors you could think of. So the list we see over here are not mutually exhaustive. They could also include some other elements. So talk of legal fees, technological constraints, political, the situation we are seeing now in terms of invasion of one country by the other. Political unrest could cause an issue. Okay, civil unrest. Brexit could also cause some constraint to a project. Assuming you had a project which was running across the whole of Europe, and here is it: we have a political dimension restricting immigration or restricting free movement of goods and services across the borders. It could conflict, it could delay the execution or the timely and quality achievement of the objectives which have been set. Okay. Environmental hazards, COVID happened. And when COVID happens, do you think you can undertake a project which requires us to work in a free, safe environment? No. Somebody is sick, he cannot come. Okay. If there are storms, if there are floods, okay, if climate is not favorable, it could also impact uh, the timely execution, the quality outcome of the project, and it could also impact on cost elements. Ethical dimensions, name them. All of these could also form constraints to a project. Okay, we're wrapping up now. The project life cycle, we're going to take two: the project management institutes dimension, the IPEC dimension, and then we look at Guido and Clemens, who also proposed that the project life cycle actually runs through 4 stages. Okay, so they looked at the effort we put in place on a grid, effort against the time. Okay, so we have the need stage, the solution stage, okay, the implementation, and then the execution. Honestly, you realize that these 4 stages, what is the need? How do we solve this this need? Okay, so there is a need for us to, let's say, produce a vaccine for COVID. So that was the need we've identified. You identify the need, what you really need, what objectives do you think you want to achieve. Then you design some processes in place to find a solution to this COVID pandemic, which is destroying the world. You find a solution. So once you've been able to design a vaccine which could help put things in place, what do? You have to get resources, get men, the manpower, the labor, the materials, the time in place to be able to implement what you have drafted. Okay. At the end of the day, they'll surely come out with a COVID vaccine that could be used. It stretches over a period of time, okay, and doesn't all happen at one stage. It takes one step at a time. Look at the project management cycles. Project management institutes also five-stage process. They named it the IPEC. Okay, they said let us initiate. Initiate is more or less like identifying the needs. Okay, and then we plan. Planning it also runs around the solution stage. Okay, and then at this stage it goes on to say we execute. In terms of execution, it works with God with the implementation stage. Let me put it that way. Executing and implementation they sound the same, does it not? So when you look at the implementation stage and the execution stage, they are actually talking of the same thing. Okay. Now, in terms of executing, you control. You try to see what is my target, what have I achieved, am I on track, am I deviating, can I bring something back on track? Okay. So at executing stage, it is always a matter of monitoring the implementation, check whether it is going according to plan, make adjustments, revise the budget, revise the detailed implementation plan, and ensure that everything is working in line with what you have planned. And when all is done, when all is done according to the plans that you've put in place, you close it off, you phase it out, okay, and hand it over to the users of this project. That is it. So the IPEC five-stage scenario we are looking at from the PMI's book. Those of you who know PMBOK, you realize that you find this always surfacing. It hasn't changed much, okay? But if you look at Guido and Clemens' scenario that they've placed, it is almost the same. You see it as four stage, but all that we are saying over here is that in terms of implementation, the execution, there's a controlling element. Monitor, track, ensure that it is working in line with the plans. Make sure if there are any errors, it's minimal so that you don't incur the wrath of the project users, okay, the stakeholders. And then complete it, close it off, okay, close it off. All right. Um, Initiate a project. We are going to now take these five stage initiating, planning, okay, executing, controlling, closing off to wrap it up. Okay, to wrap it up. Now, I will just take two parts of the initiation. We end this video. We continue with the second part of this concept of project management. So we initiate a project, and there are a number of reasons why we would want to initiate, start, commence a project. Okay, one, we want to meet the long-term goals. Sometimes it could also be the short and medium-term objectives of the company. We want to do that. So we start something, okay? Again, maybe we want to initiate a project to add some um, added benefits to what we already have in the system. So processes we have are not working as expected. We want to be highly competitive, so we want to enhance our projects, our processes, our services, our product itself. We want to enhance it, okay? Again, we want to initiate a project because we've identified some problems within our organization. We want to solve it, or we've identified an opportunity outside of the organization we want to leverage on. Okay, so here you could see organizations undertaking SWOT analysis. They look at their strengths. Again, they see some opportunities outside. They try to solve all the internal weaknesses that they have, and they leverage on the opportunities that they've identified based on the core competencies that they have at hand. Okay, we also want to um, initiate a project when we want to comply with statutory or legal requirements. Okay, so that's what happens in terms of initiating a project. At the end of the day, it is more like a win situation. We all want to win something. I want to become more competitive. Somebody is sitting down in his office right now thinking of the kind of software we will use for lecturing in the next 15 years. So you like Microsoft, I like Microsoft teams. They've already designed computers that the next 5 years we will need. Samsung is doing the same. Apple is doing the same. So we sit here and we know Apple already have a uh, flagship product or phone that they want to use. They were using then Note. I think it ended in Note 20 Ultra. And they decided, let us not bring Note 21. Let's make it Samsung Galaxy S21. And then they came out with S22, no Note. But the S21 and S22 serves as notes as well. It comes with a stylus pen. That's something somebody designs and plans ahead of time to enhance their project, to take advantage of opportunities out there. Okay, to leverage on their strengths and then get rid of some weaknesses. Okay, solve some problems here and there. Okay, again, in initiating a project, we must always check whether it is technically feasible, okay, to undertake it, and also whether materially feasible for us to undertake. Okay, so you see this slide again surfacing in the second video, so we'll run over it quickly when we get there. So here, feasibility studies must be carried out on a potential number of strategies, and the aim here is to decide which proposal do I need to choose. Okay, so you see them undertaking NPV analysis, undertaking financial forecast. They try to see which one is feasible, which one would give me the better benefits at the end of the day. There are a number of types or number of feasibility studies that could be undertaken. Technical feasibility. Do we have the technical know-how, the machine technology to undertake it? Do we have it? Okay. Social, is it operationally feasible? Does it fit within our current operations? Or will it totally deviate from our line of business? Okay. Ecological, talk of the environment. How does it affect the environment? Are you going to harm the environment, or you actually going to be moving on to a green accounting, sustainability accounting, or sustainable development line, okay, of business? Remember, if you destroy the societal um, norms, if you destroy the society, if you destroy the ecology, who will survive to give you the needed support or to patronize your activities? And again, look at the financial feasibility. This is where you talk of the NPV, the capital budgeting, the investment appraisal techniques to see whether it is worth undertaking this project. All right, we'll end here. I'll ask you, friends, if you could look at the current text 2021 edition of the Kaplan E2, SEMA E2 text. There are some illustrations, illustration one actually, of the text. Very, very beautiful illustration, which gives us a good understanding of what we have studied so far. Okay, we'll continue with the other aspect. We'll continue with the other aspect when we come back. So in the meantime, friends, try to read it. It's very easy, very easy to read this. And whenever you meet it anywhere in your professional exams, in your academic life, in the field of work, okay, any area, any useful area of life, you find it, please implement it and speak like an authority, somebody who knows what he's saying. Okay. But I'll see you in the next few sessions. All right. Bye for now.